Alright, we need to talk about this because what just happened is honestly a bit embarrassing and, depending on how you look at it, maybe even a little worrying. So here's the situation. Tensions are already sky high globally. There's conflict involving Iran, the United States is deeply involved, and the stakes are not small. We're talking about global security, energy supply, military alliances, the kind of stuff that can shift the entire world order. And right in the middle of all that, Donald Trump steps up to a press conference and starts calling people out. Not quietly.
Donald Trump used his press conference this morning to once again blast US allies for failing to support America in the war with Iran. And I tell you what, he didn't spare Australia.
Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un.
Now, I can understand why Donald Trump is angry at NATO. For years, the US has underwritten the NATO alliance, while NATO members spent money that should have gone on defence, creating the largest social welfare system in the history of the world. And when America needed something back, just the use of an airfield, for goodness sake, well, the UK said no.
Before we continue, do us a little favour by subscribing to the channel, because over 98% of you watching haven't subscribed. It costs you nothing, not even a penny, to join this channel. Have you subscribed? Thanks so much.
Now, when Trump starts naming countries that didn't support the United States, you expect the usual suspects. Maybe NATO tensions, maybe some European hesitation, but Australia? Yeah, that raised eyebrows. Because Australia and the US aren't just casual partners. This is supposed to be one of those ride or die alliances. Decades of cooperation, shared intelligence, military ties, even nuclear submarine deals on the table. So when the US president basically says, "You didn't show up for us," that's not just a comment, that's a signal. And instead of immediately clearing things up, stepping forward, or even just sounding confident, Anthony Albanese gets asked about it, and his response? "That's not a question for me." Wait, what? Let's be real for a second. If the leader of your country is being...
Well, the UK said no. But everyone seems clueless as to why Trump is mad at Australia. Anthony Albanese was asked about it today, and he answered with the same enthusiasm a cat shows for swimming.
Well, that's not a question for me.
Well, actually, PM, the question as to why our major ally thinks we've let them down is kind of a question for you. If it's not a question for the man who runs the country, well, who's it for? Honestly, do we have to go to Pauline Hanson for everything these days? Government ministers have, of course, previously said that they haven't given the US anything because the US hasn't specifically asked for anything.
Did they ask for abortion? In respect of the Straits of Hormuz, we do not have a request from the United States in respect of that.
Now, is it just me, or is that rather disingenuous? And it's been repeated numerous times. I mean, what sort of a friend sees another in need?
In fact, it does the opposite. It makes it look like nobody's really in control of the situation. And this is where things start to feel a bit uncomfortable, because this isn't just about one awkward answer in a press conference. It exposes something deeper. Australia's position in global politics right now looks uncertain and honestly a bit passive. Now let's break down the reasoning that's been coming out from the government, because this is where it gets even more frustrating. The main defence? The US didn't specifically ask for help. Seriously, that's the argument. No request, no action. And look, technically, sure, that might be true. Maybe there wasn't a formal, written, official, "Hey Australia, send us support" message. But come on, is that really how alliances work? Think about it in real-life terms. If your close friend is clearly struggling, moving house, dealing with something serious, whatever, and you just sit there saying, "Well, they didn't ask me directly," what does that say about you? That's not loyalty, that's convenience. And in global politics, that kind of attitude doesn't just make you look passive, it makes you look unreliable. Especially when that same friend has already committed massive resources to your defence. We're talking about US troops stationed across allied regions, strategic protection, intelligence sharing, and long-term military backing. So when push comes to shove, and there's even a perception that Australia isn't stepping up, yeah, people are going to notice. Trump definitely noticed. And whether you like him or not, one thing about Trump, he doesn't keep things quiet. He says exactly what he thinks, and in this case, what he thinks is that allies aren't pulling their weight. Now here's where it gets even more layered. Albanese also pointed out that Australia wasn't consulted before the US took action against Iran. And on the surface, that sounds fair, right? Like, why should we be involved if we weren't even included in the decision? But if you think about it a little deeper, that might actually be part of the problem. Because if your closest ally doesn't feel the need to consult you before making major military moves, what does that say about how they see your role? That's not a sign of strength, that's a sign you're being sidelined. And instead of addressing that directly, asking why, pushing for clarity, reinforcing the partnership, the response we're getting is basically distance, caution, hesitation, a lot of talk about de-escalation. Now look, nobody's saying de-escalation is a bad thing, of course. In an ideal world, conflicts end peacefully. But let's not pretend every situation is that simple. When you're dealing with something as serious as Iran's military capabilities, potential nuclear threats, and ongoing regional instability, just repeating, "we want de-escalation," starts to sound more like a safe talking point than an actual strategy.
It's vague, it's non-committal, and in moments like this, vagueness can be dangerous, because while one side is pushing forward with clear objectives, even if you agree with them or not, the other side sounds like it's still figuring out what it wants to say. And that gap, that's where perception matters. And right now, the perception isn't great. Australia looks like it's sitting on the fence while the world is shifting around it. And maybe that's intentional, maybe it's a strategy to avoid getting dragged into another major conflict. But here's the problem with that approach. If you rely heavily on a powerful ally for your own security, and let's be honest, Australia does rely on the US in many ways, you don't get the luxury of staying completely neutral when things heat up, because alliances aren't just about receiving support, they're about giving it too. And when that balance starts to look one-sided, tensions build, frustration builds, and eventually it spills out, just like it did in that press conference. Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just about one disagreement or one moment. This is about positioning. Where does Australia stand in a world that's becoming more unstable? How prepared is it really if things escalate further? Because here's the uncomfortable truth that a lot of people don't want to say out loud. Australia's geography is both a strength and a weakness. Yes, it's isolated, but it also has a massive coastline, limited population compared to its size, and heavy reliance on alliances for defence. And when those alliances start to show cracks, even small ones, it raises serious questions. Are we ready? Are we aligned? Are we even being taken seriously at the highest levels? Because right now, it doesn't fully look like it. And that's why this moment matters more than people think. It's not just about Trump being Trump. It's not just about Albanese giving an awkward answer. It's about what those moments reveal underneath. A relationship that might not be as strong as it once looked, a government that might be playing it a little too safe in a world that's becoming increasingly dangerous, and a situation where perception alone can shift global dynamics.
So yeah, this is bigger than headlines, way bigger. And I want to hear what you think, because this one is not black and white. Do you think Australia is right to stay cautious and avoid jumping into conflict? Or does this look like a failure to support an ally when it actually matters? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is one of those debates that people are going to have strong opinions on. And if you want more breakdowns like this, real, direct, no sugarcoating, make sure you hit like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because if this situation keeps escalating, and honestly it looks like it might, you're going to want to stay informed.